Hello, and welcome to the Get Lean and Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Grin. I'm a certified health coach, trainer, and author. And this podcast is for middle-aged men and women looking to optimize their health and get their bodies back to what it once was 10 to 15 years ago. I will give you simple, actionable items to get long-term sustainable results. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. All right. Welcome to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Grin. I hope you had a great weekend and maybe enjoyed some nice weather outside. Happy New Year if you are Jewish and you celebrate the New Year, Rosh Hashanah. And hopefully you listened to my interview, my most recent interview with Marty Kendall and with Optimizing Nutrition. He's got a great website and definitely check that out. We talked all about high nutrient dense foods and minerals and industrial seed oils and the overconsumption of fat and carbs, which I'm going to touch on today because the last two episodes with Marty and with myself talking about liver as one of the highest, most nutrient dense foods you could eat, I wanted to touch on the other end of it because I think a lot of times with any type of diet you do, it's more about the foods that you avoid than the foods that maybe you're adding in per se. So, a lot of times people can go low carb, but that does them so well. Does it do them so well because it's low carb, or does it so well because they're avoiding these highly palatable conglomerate of fats and carbs and these foods that are addicting and can probably help us lead to some weight gain. So sometimes I think, and I've talked about it with Brad Kearns, it's more or less what you avoid than necessarily what you take in. Although it's important to take in foods that are going to feed your body in the right way. And the one thing to avoid is fat and carbs combined, because that's what's really driving up weight gain, in my belief. One of the reasons these modern ultra processed foods, and they're just designed for us to eat and buy more of them. That's why I think it's so important to buy things without labels, okay, without barcodes. And that alone, that rule right there can really make your health get to the next level. So, so that was what I wanted to touch on today is these high carb, high fat foods provide little calories, low nutrient density. And you're probably asking, well, what is that? I'm sure you sort of know those type of foods. I mean, you can walk down the aisle of a lot of the grocery store, especially in the, I don't even know, like I'm just trying to think which aisle it would be in, but it would be in probably the chocolate aisle or the sweets aisle or the cereal aisle as well. And this could be anything from your typical, sugars, candies, jelly beans, all the way to like, Twizzlers, some of the jams and the caramels and the honey. And you got to be careful because, a lot of these things are highly palatable, they're addicting, and they have no nutrients, no fiber, nothing to slow down digestion. So cookies, obviously, can do it as well. English muffins, things like that. These things that have labels on them, you definitely want to avoid. Now, the question is, what do you replace them with? And I've talked a little bit about, obviously nutrient dense foods. If you could really just focus on, for example, my wife and I, we tend to buy a lot of fishes and meats every month, keep them in the freezer so they're there for you. I think if you can avoid making a decision every day on what you're going to eat, as far as like, okay, I need to go buy something that day, I think it's going to be a lot better in the long term for you to maintain eating in a healthy way. So a lot of things I do with my clients is, we order foods from, I mean, there's a lot of great sources nowadays, like Force of Nature, US Wellness Meats, Vital Choice is great for fish. And you keep a few pounds of meat and fish in the freezer. And then, the night before you make a decision, what are we going to have? And then it's out easy. You can keep it simple. You don't have to make a big recipe. Usually we either grill or, with these these air fryers nowadays. You can just cook them up, or a sous vide. I've never even used a sous vide, but I've heard they're good. You got pressure cookers, lots of ways. In the winter, if you don't want to go outside, you can just use those as well, and use an air fryer, which is something I think I am going to purchase. But I think it's really important that you are prepared, and preparation is probably 80% of it, because if you have those foods and you eliminate the high carb, high fat combination foods, the Oreo cookies, etc., then you're so much better off. So not buying those foods and buying the foods that have, eggs. I know not everyone wants to buy liver. That's fine. I gave some options on the last micro podcast that you could get some liver crisps is one option. But if you don't want to go down the liver route, that's fine. Just start with muscle meats and quality grass-fed, grass-finished meats, wild fish. And even if you can't get it that way, that's you're better off with that than going the other way and just not having anything and then trying to order in every night, because we all know what they're cooking in when you're ordering in, and those are industrialized seed oils that are getting heated and oxidized and not good for health and inflammation. So that's all I want to touch on today. The last few episodes have been about nutrient density. So I think it is obviously part of the puzzle, eating foods that feed the body in the correct manner, but also avoiding the foods that have no nutrients, high energy density, and high calorie, low nutrient density foods that could cause the problem as well. So avoid those foods, be prepared, stock the freezer, and that'll go a long way in your health. So that's all I want to touch on today. If there's a topic you want me to talk about, email me, brian@briangrin.com, and have a great rest of the week. And we'll talk to you on Friday. Thanks for listening to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. I understand there are millions of other podcasts out there, and you've chosen to listen to mine, and I appreciate that. Check out the show notes at briangrin.com for everything that was mentioned in this episode. Feel free to subscribe to the podcast and share it with a friend or family member that's looking to get their body back to what it once was. Thanks again, and have a great day.